everyone, welcome back. It's great to have you here today. Today we will be revising trigonometry and we'll be working through some questions together. So please get your pen and paper ready and work through these questions with me. So to start with, let's just look at the right angle triangle. So in this question, if I label the angle theta, then we'll be able to find the opposite side of this triangle and also the hypotenuse and adjacent. Now we know from year 9, if I wanted to go from h to O, I'll multiply by sine scale factor. And if I wanted to go from h to A, I will multiply by cosine scale factor. From A to O, I'll multiply by tan scale factor. So if we were to write it out, h multiplied by sine theta is the opposite. Therefore, sine theta is O over h. H times cosine theta equals A. Therefore, cosine theta is going to be A over h. A times tan theta equals opposite. Therefore, tan theta is opposite over A. So you might have heard SOHCAHTOA before. That is, sine is O over h, cos is A over h, and tan is O over A. Okay, now with the trigonometry, you also need to know the graph of sine, cos, and tan, their maximum value and minimum value, and also their x-intercept. So to start with, let's sketch y equals sine theta. So this graph looks like this. And I'm going to sketch it between 0 and 360 with a maximum of 1, minimum of -1. Moving on to the next one, let's look at the cosine. Y equals cosine theta between 0 and 360. The maximum is 1, the minimum is -1, and also we need to know their x-intercepts. And the final graph is tan theta. Now this is a special one because the graph is undefined at 90 degrees and 270 degrees. And the maximum value is positive infinity and the minimum value is negative infinity. So this graph go on forever. After the graph, we also need to know the special values. So all you need to do is to remember these two triangles, the one with 30, 60 and the one with 45. And then after that, we just needed to use trig ratio to work out the special value. So 0 degrees and 90 degrees, we'll be able to get that from the graph. So if I look at the sine graph first, sine 0, it starts from 0. Sine 0 is 0. Sine 30 is opposite over hypotenuse. So it's a half. Sine 45 is root 2 over 2. Sine 60 is root 3 over 2. And sine 90, if we look at the graph, it is 1. So from the first triangle, we can see that sine 30 and cosine 60, they are opposite. Therefore, cosine 0, from the graph, we can see it's 1. Cosine 30 is the same as sine 60. Cosine 45 is the same as sine 45 because of the isosceles triangle. Cos 60 is the same as sine 30. Cos 90 is 0. And finally, if we look at the tan 0 starts from 0. Tan 30 is root 3 over 3. Tan 45 is 1, tan 60 is root 3, and then tan 90, as we mentioned earlier, is undefined. Okay, so we have talked about the right angle triangle, and that's all we needed to know. We also needed to know what to do if the triangle isn't a right angle triangle. So in this case, I'm labeling the angle with capital letter A and its opposite side with a lowercase a. Similarly, B with the lowercase b as the side, angle C with the lowercase c as its side. We have a pair of angle in the capital letter and then side in the lowercase. So just quickly remind ourselves what is a sine rule. Sine rule is sine A over A equals sine B over B equals sine C over C. And this is true if we find their reciprocal. So A over sine A is the same as B over sine B or C over sine C. Next, we need to know what is cosine rule. So cosine rule says A squared equals B squared plus C squared, subtract 2BC times cos A. Now, we also need to be able to rearrange for cos A. Sometimes the unknown is the angle, and we need to be able to rearrange it. So what we can do is we can add 2BC cos A on both sides, and then we can subtract A squared from both sides. After that, because we want cos A by itself, therefore we can divide by 2BC. And this is another version of cosine rule. However, you don't need to memorize this as long as you know how to rearrange, make cosine A the subject. Okay, now finally, what we need to know is how to work out the area of a non-right-angled triangle. So area is a half AB sine C. So let's look at the three questions together. And what people find difficult about this topic is that when to use a sine rule, when to use a cosine rule. If you can find a pair of angle and its opposite side, then you'll be able to use a sine rule. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. In question 1, we have angle 20 and its opposite is 8 centimeters. So this is a pair of the opposite angle and the side. And we need to work out x. We are given that its angle is 112. So what I can do is I can use sine 20 over 8 equals sine 112 over x. I often make the unknown in the numerator so then it's easier to work out. I say x over sine 112 is equal to 8 over sine 20. Now cross multiply, we will have sine 20 times x is equal to 8 times sine 112. To solve x, what I needed to do is to divide sine 20 on both sides. Put that into the calculator, we can see that side x is 21.68. Okay, now move on to the next one. What about this question? Which formula should we use? Again, to start with, we want to highlight the ones we know and check, see if we have a pair of side and angle. So we have 42 degrees and its opposite side is x, which is unknown. And then we have 8 centimeters, but then its opposite angle is not given. What we are told is 75 degrees, but then its opposite side is not given. Now, if we are able to work out the angle in red, which is the one opposite of 8 centimeters, then we can use the sine rule to work it out. If we look at the angles in a triangle, we know that they add up to 180. Therefore, to work out the angle in red, what we can do is 180, take away 75, take away 42. And then the angle in red is 63 degrees. So then what we can do is to use sine rule to work it out. X over sine 42 is equal to 8 over sine 63. And then if we cross multiply and solve for x, we can find out that x is 6.01 centimeters. Okay, now moving on to the third question. Again, I'll label each side. We can see that D and 14.2 is a pair of opposite angle and side. However, we are not given enough information to work it out. We need to work out the angle. We don't have any other angles to help us. So what we need to do in this case is to use cosine rule. Now, because from the formula we know we have side A and its opposite angle, capital A. So I'm going to call this angle D the A, and its opposite, the small letter a. Now the question is, which one is B, which one is C? And the answer is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one is B, which one is C, because all I care is B squared plus C squared. And it's the same if I do C squared plus B squared. Therefore, by using the formula, we will have 14.2 squared equals 11.6 squared plus 4.4 squared. Take away 2 times 11.6 times 4.4 times cos A, which is cos D in this case. So when rearranging this equation, some people find them difficult. So I will do it step by step just to make sure that we are all happy with it. So what we can do is to take away 11.6 squared on both sides, and then we can take away 4.4 squared on both sides. Subtract 2 times 11.6 times 4.4. This we can work it out. And it is negative 102.08. So in the end, what I needed to do if I wanted to work out cos D, I needed to divide both sides by this number. And then to work out the angle, I have to do cos inverse. So then that means you have to press shift cos in the calculator. As we can see, the final answer is 117.9 degrees. Okay, so now we need to work out the area of these triangles. So just to remind ourselves how to use the formula says half AB sine C. So then that means I need to pick the angle and I need 2 sides of it. So if we look at the triangle and if we pick out the angle C, as we can see, AB are the sides that make this angle. Okay, so now let's work on this question. First, I'm going to pick this 112 degree. Now, because we need the angle sine C. So we can see that we have one side, which is 8 centimeters, but we don't know the other side. So we can't use this angle here. Similarly, if I pick that 20 degrees, I have the side X x, which we just worked out, and we have the angle 20 degrees, but we don't know the third side, therefore I can't use this angle either. If I pick the final angle, we can see that each side, 8 and x, we know, but we don't know the angle. Remember, angles in a triangle add up to 180. Therefore, we can find this missing angle very easily, and that gives us 48. We can work out the area of this triangle, a half times 8 times 21.68 times sine 48. And then put that in the calculator, area is 64.45 centimeters squared. Now, of course, you can use the sine rule to work out the other missing length and pick any angle if you want. But since we have already worked out x and the angle is easier to work out, so we stick with this one. But feel free to try the other ones and see if we get the same answer. Okay, now moving on to the next one, I'm gonna check each angle and see if we have enough information to work it out. Now, as we can see, we can only use 75-degree angle because we have the length of each side. So the area of this triangle is going to be a half times 6.01 times 8 times sine 75. We can find out that the area is 23.22 centimeters squared. For the last question, we are going to use the angle D, 117.9 degrees, because we have the length of both sides of the angle. So by using the formula, area is a half times 11.6 times 4.4 times sine 117.9. Area is 22.55 centimeters squared. That is it for today. Well done for making through to the end, especially if you have done those questions yourself. Remember, maths isn't a spectator sport, and we have to keep practicing to be better at it. Happy revising, and I'll see you in the next video.